and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Lingo?
Here.
Miss Moody?
Here.
Mr. Parsons?
Here.
Mr. Redding?
Here.
Mrs. Dosa? Here. Mr. George? Mr. Mueller?
Here.
You have the December 7th minutes in front of you. Oh, sorry. Somebody like to excuse Mr. George?
I move it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll make a movement to excuse Mr. George.
Motion was made by Mr. Mueller.
Does Mr. Bittner need to be excused?
We never have before.
Okay, all right.
Who's going to second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Redding. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, got the minutes, December 7th in front of you. Do you have any corrections or changes?
I just noticed on page 2, I don't know if I read it wrong, or it would be under the mayor's report in the second paragraph, 5th line up from that bottom. Hamilton County has not
Yeah, I saw that.
right to review the plans, or does it say Hamilton County does not have the right to review the plans?
Has no right.
Has no right. That's all I saw.
I don't have anything.
All that. I had a question about that. I did have a question about that. When we say Hamilton County, do we mean the board or the Hamilton County Commissioners?
Yes. It's the Board of County Commissioners, yeah, so it's interchangeable.
Okay. Well, there's the board, this new board, or not this new board, but this board
It's
for
the
solid
Solid
waste
Waste District.
management, but it's not
Right.
the Hamilton County Commissioners. The elected body of the county. Like the board, isn't the board appointed?
There is the Solid Waste District, which is appointed. Let me see. Here we go. Sorry. No, it is the Board of Commissioners. New landfills now have to get approval from the Board of County Commissioners.
So, because I'm sure that the county commissioners, the board isn't gonna have the right to approve, they're gonna probably recommend, I think the solid waste is more of an arm of the board of directors. They're ultimately gonna approve or not approve a landfill. I don't think they're gonna leave that power into a board.
Okay.
Yeah, because other counties have already passed similar legislation, and that was a Warren County, the road commissioners.
Right.
Is in order to, you have to go through the county in order to get approval for any kind of rezoning or
Right.
expansion.
Like the planning commission here, the planning commission doesn't approve anything, they recommend, and then council ends up, that's kind of
Yes.
how this is gonna work, right?
And that's my question. I mean, I'm not 100% sure if the board is the final say here, or if the county commissioners are the final
I'm
say.
saying, yeah, it's the county.
Yeah, the County Commissioners, the Board of Commissioners. It's the County Commissioners.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is they currently do not, the county commissioners currently do not have a say, or,
Well, it all changed since the last meeting. I was gonna
Okay.
update that, but they did pass the new rules.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, it's pretty significant, yeah.
Very,
okay.
yeah.
Are we all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Anybody like to make a motion to approve as amended?
I make a motion to
Mr.
approve
Osel.
as amended.
I'll second that.
By Mr. Parsons. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Correspondence. I don't have anything except for what was in our packets. Does anybody else have correspondence? No? Okay. What's next? Public, or guest, we have no guest. Public input. Does anybody like to speak in front of council? No.
There was a sign-in sheet. I can get it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jamie. Lori Handler, you want to come on up to the podium? State your name and address.
Good evening, everybody. I'm not a Mount Healthy resident, but I spent 38 long, loving years in this community, and I'm a very big fan of Mount Healthy. So if you would, let me speak tonight, I would appreciate it. I'm here to say a few good words about Jennifer Moody.
Oh, gee.
Some public officials talk the talk, others walk the walk. Jennifer Moody walks the walk. She has been a huge proponent of this community for as long as I've known her. She's a fabulous principal and held her students to high regard. It never fails when I talk to her. She always says, I'm doing all kinds of things in Mount Healthy. I'm looking at the businesses. I've been downtown. We're planning new things. She loves your city, as do I. And in the summer, I always laugh because she goes, well, I planted the flowers. Now I've got big water jugs that I'm dragging down there to water them all. She lives it in her lovely historic home. She would give tours to the school students so that they could see the Underground Railroad stop. She has been a fabulous public servant for a long, long time. And she not only talks well about Mount Healthy, she is Mount Healthy. So I couldn't let tonight go by without saying thank you, Jenny Moody, for all you've done for my adopted hometown and your hometown. So on behalf of a lot of people who are not here tonight, who would say the same thing that I'm saying, thank you, Jenny.
Thanks. That's very nice. We appreciate it. Anybody else wish to speak? Kim?
Kim Cremines. I'm actually here on behalf of the Business Association. I just wanted to let you all know that December is my official last month as the president of the Business Association. Dwight Moody was voted in as our new president. It's time. I've been doing it since 2003, I think.
Wow.
So I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you all have done for us, the cooperation that we've got from city and you guys. That really means a lot to the Business Association when something comes up and you guys are willing to work with us. And I also wanted to thank Jenny. I think Jenny's a great cheerleader for Mount Healthy. She's been a great liaison for the Business Association. I'll still be around, but just not quite as much as I have been before. So I just want to let you know, Dwight will probably start coming to some of the meetings, but you'll be seeing him a lot more than you're seeing me in the future. So,
We appreciate all your hard work.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Committee reports. Business Partnership Alliance Beautification. Jenny?
Okay. I'm going to start. I went to the Business Association meeting, but I do want to start and, again, commend Kim for being the president for so many years. Kim has worked so hard and so tirelessly behind the scenes to try to pull everything together, and it's been through some rough times. And she's going to be missed as president, but I just want to commend her for all the work she's done. She's a real asset to the community, and plus she has a great business. She's a business person here in town who has a very lucrative business, and we're very appreciative. Okay, so I went to the Business Association meeting, and Dwight is going to be the new president, and he's got a theme called Connect and Grow for his new term. The Business Association meeting also expressed a little bit of concern and need for some website updating and maybe help with their website in the future. And I don't know whether, it's not something that, you know, I think we're going to be saying that the city needs to do, but I don't know at some point whether Dwight will be reaching out with the city, trying to find out whether there's ways that we can put things on the city website like we usually do to, you know, give them some help with their business association news. Gary Crowley was there from the school district, talked about the new early childhood center, which they had their open house. Also, Cincinnati Bell, and you know this more than I do, is finalizing plans for the access points for the smart city. They're still working on that.
They are.
And the Historical Society was there. The December 11th Mount Healthy, Christmas and Mount Healthy Day went very well, and they had a lot of people come visit them, so they were very happy. And again, would like to thank Denise and the committee, and Denise Hayes, for all the work they did for the Christmas in Mount Healthy. I went to the jazz trio concert, and that was going to be under my Alliance report. They did their fundraiser that afternoon at the Methodist Church, and that jazz trio, so he was right, they're outstanding. It was very, very good. So, and I know every once in a while they're at the Methodist Church for fundraisers and different occasions, so if people really want to be entertained with some wonderful musicians, they're really a jazz trio to see. And so the Alliance did have a fundraiser that day at 4 o'clock. The Business Association also gave $200 toward Matthew 25 Ministries for the help with tornado relief in Kentucky. And I think that was about it. Anything else, Kim, that I missed that maybe we should talk about? Okay.
Jenny, I'll just add.
Yeah.
So Ray and Alex are kind of the point on the whole wireless piece. But one of the things that did happen is that we received grant funding, and there's always a push to get the money out, and the program was supposed to be up and running by the end of the year. I mean, it's like herding cats. I mean, if you can imagine trying to get all those access points and all the different property owners together, that timeline has been extended. So they're still continuing to work on it.
And my Alliance report basically is they're still asking for funds. They've got their food pantry that's still in operation, and also the youth program, which I believe is running 2 days a week. So if you want to get on to their website, they do have a giving grid. They would certainly accept any donations. And I do know at the food pantry, they're always looking for items for donation, especially any kind of personal hygiene items. Beautification, I have no beautification report, obviously, but I do want to thank Public Works for the holiday decor that's up in town. And there were more lights added to the garage this year, and it looks really good, and the flags. And all that they do at Heritage Park, it really looks nice when you come into town and you see the star and the rays from the star. So I just want to commend them, and that's it. That's my report.
Thank you. Any questions? Finance, Mr. Parsons.
No report.
Parks, that's me. I don't have a report. Safety and Streets, Mr. Redding.
Just on streets, just a quick reminder that the finished coat of blacktop will be going down on Hickman, Elizabeth, and Adams in the springtime. That gives us a chance to look at settling in the street and any bad spots, so that they can be fixed in the spring with the final coat. And I believe, Bill, that project is, for the winter, is pretty much wrapped up. All sidewalks are in and looks good. They backfilled around everything and looks pretty good. On the safety side, I just wanted to refer to the chief's letter concerning 2 specific instances. There was an incident with an individual at the apartments on Harrison. And I just think that reading this summary here, the police did a great job. There was an individual with a knife. Nobody got hurt in the entire thing. I guess the individual pulled a knife on, or had a knife pointed at the police or whatever, and everything went down without an incident. Nobody was harmed. The police took care of the incident. And then also there was a stolen car from northern Kentucky that one of our police officers saw come through the city. There was a little bit of a chase through the woods down behind Mount Healthy High School. And again, got arrested the guy, but no incidents. So just a great job done by our police department, and we have some very young police officers that, it doesn't appear that they get very rattled, so they're acting like experienced vets, so good news. That's all I have.
Questions? Okay, schools, Mr. George, who isn't here. Do you have anything, Mayor, that you could? for
I do
schools?
not.
Okay. Library, Ms. Dosa? Mrs. Dosa?
Good evening, everyone. Just a couple of different things. The library is wanting to start doing additional school programs in 2022. And one of the things that the librarian said that she wanted to do was to make sure all the kids had a library card. Something as simple as that. And going into the schools and doing more programs, which I thought was interesting, that you take for granted that it's a library card. But some kids don't have that or have the access to get it or know that they can get it. So I thought that was great that she was opening up their worlds to more books and other opportunities with making sure they got a library card. They did hire a new youth librarian, and her focus is going to be working with the tween age and creating programs for that age group, the tween age group, more programs and activities for them. So with the hiring of that youth librarian, now they have a full staff at the library, which I thought was nice and good to hear. The library is still handing out mailboxes every Monday from 3 to 5 until June, and then it'll be reassessed in June to see where the need is, or if they're gonna go back to just giving out snacks. So that's good that they're still handing out those mailboxes. So for anyone that didn't know that, they're giving them out every Monday from 3 to 5. Starting in January, this is something I thought was really nice that they're bringing to the community, is they're gonna have a parent coffee break / play date. Parents can bring their children, have coffee and socialize with other parents while the children do activities or have story time with the librarians, like a social hour for the kids and the parents combined, and that will start in January. They're also gonna start a family library story time. That will start in 22. She didn't give me definitive dates, but they're hoping to start that in January as well, where parents can bring their families, kids can come younger, and they do a family story time. So I thought that was really nice. They have a lot of things that are going to be happening starting in January and the year of 2022. I have to get used to saying that, but just so that you know that those things are going on, and to let people know and also support these activities so that they will continue throughout the year.
Great. Any questions? That sounds great. Hey, Urban Tree is mine. I do not have a report. Who has We Thrive? There's no name next to it.
You guys have to assign that.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
open right now.
Cindy had that.
And I don't have an update from that.
Oh, okay. So we have to do that now, or?
Hey, can I ask something about the We Thrive? I was one of the administrators on that Facebook We Thrive, and I shouldn't probably be anymore. And
Okay.
so will you talk to Jody or somebody? I don't know who's going to keep up that Facebook page or whether they're going to have it. I mean, there were people that followed
Yeah.
it, but,
I will contact her.
okay.
Thank you.
No, Denise, I just think that's something you guys need to think about with
Okay.
the new members. We have new members coming on and so forth, so you guys will want to assign who you want on that, and then let Ray know so that we can get the agenda. If it's not the first, obviously, we probably want to have it updated for the first meeting,
Okay.
but maybe we can discuss it that night,
All right.
and then we can get direction on how you want to go.
Okay. Next, we have Mayor's report.
Yeah, and I was just gonna touch on, the new Rumpke rules. So, it did pass, it passed 2-1, and just the shortened version is that now any new constructed, expanded, or newly operated landfill has to get approval through the county commissioners, and it also gives them criteria to veto plans, and the criteria have to be based off of negative impact on either property values, odors, litter, negative impact to recreational activities, or to local jurisdictions. So those are the criteria they can base that around. It did pass 2-1, so that is an update since our last meeting. And there is the solid waste district, that's like their committee that would go through, and then the county commissioners have the final say. So, and that was a big deal. We know Mount Healthy, growing up, I never smelled rumpke. These days, we smell it, so.
Yeah, when I was a principal at North Elementary, we would go outside for recess. Sometimes the smell was awful.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Corrine Township, and they pretty much taken over that side of the township. And when other counties had rules in place, and Hamilton County didn't, and it was on the news, and Rumpke's not quite sure, they're not happy about it, but what it's saying is it's really should be a good thing and shouldn't really impact, you know, the fact that we're not gonna be able to have anybody pick up our garbage
Right,
anymore,
right,
which sometimes is what they would say,
It's just
so.
putting us on the same playing field
Absolutely,
as the other counties.
yeah, yeah.
So that did pass,
Good.
and that's in there now, so hopefully it'll be a positive impact. And that's all my update for tonight.
Okay. Any questions for the mayor?
Miss-
Ah,
Can I add two things? Sorry, not about the Rumpke thing, but since we have a couple of folks here from the school system, retired, I just wanted to add about and they were instrumental in this, I believe. Could you talk a little bit about the pre-K, the new school down at, the rebuilt school down at Rex Ralph?
Yeah, the Early Learning Center had its
Yes.
ribbon cutting last weekend. Most of you were there, actually. Yeah, it's preschool and kindergarten. It is one facility for all those grades, opposed to being spread out at the other schools, and it is underway and operating.
Yep, and just thanks to Sylvia and Lori, because I know that Sylvia goes back all the way to when Eric was in preschool. And actually, Jenny, your sister was his teacher. You know, they've been
He turned out
driving
really
this.
fine, too. He got a great start.
Yes, he did. Hey,
He
he's
did,
doing,
he
he's
did.
doing very well.
I know he is, I know.
Jenny's principal, I think, right?
Yeah,
You know, these guys have been driving this
so,
all the way back then, So, the whole Head Start thing in preschool, and so thank you very much for your service.
Sylvia did a lot with before and after school care. It was, yep.
Yep.
I thought it was really nice. I'm glad that I went. I went to Rex Ralph, and then Miss Sylvia pretty much raised me and my sister and I, so. But that school was amazing. They're really lucky. The kids are lucky that we have that in the community, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else?
That's all I had.
City managers report, Mr. Coker.
Just a couple items tonight. There's some information, a fact sheet on solar. Jim Lowenberg had reached out to me. He'd read about it, heard it somewhere or something, and I know the manager in Silverton pretty well, Tom. And if there's more interest, if it piques any interest, he'd be happy to come out. Kind of happy, I think, as Tom would say, but he would definitely come out. But just a program that Silverton's got on, and there is also other opportunity potentially even for city facilities to maybe take some advantage of this. So anyway, that information's in there, and we'll share it. And if you guys want anything more, let me know, and I'll make Tom come out here. So also, and we just more for informational purposes, and Duke has some things going on, and we just kind of put it out on social media and everything for people to know that it may not be a Duke person that will be coming to their house, but they are doing some testing and different things with the gas lines. And that was also part of the packet. And then the last thing, and it was on your desk tonight, there's one modification to an attachment on the appointed officials and part-time employees. It was discovered that our assistant chief, who is not covered by the part-time bargaining agreement, kind of fell between the cracks. So we've added him. This, I think, was the most appropriate place to add him in at 4% above the captains or lieutenants, I think, that are below him. That kind of keeps everything there in line. So that was just the only modification to that attachment. So you guys could just take the second reading on it as as modified, I guess, if you would, please. And that's all I have.
Any questions? Finance Director, Mr. Bauer.
Got a few ordinances, but no formal report.
And we'll go to our second reading of our ordinances. Ordinance 21, 1973, an ordinance to set compensation for certain appointed officials and part-time employees of the city of Mount Healthy.
That was good timing.
Oh. Questions?
I make a motion to approve ordinance 21-1973.
Motion made by Ms. Moody and
Second.
second by Mr. Redding. Roll call.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Miss Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George, Mr. Mueller.
Aye.
Motion adopted 6-0. Okay. Ordinance 21-1974, an ordinance to set compensation for certain full-time employees of the city of Mount Healthy.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 21-1974.
Motion made by Mr. Redding,
Second.
second by Mr. Parsons. Roll call.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Miss Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George, Mr. Mueller.
Aye.
Motion adopted 6-0, 21-1974. Next, ordinance 21-1975, an ordinance to set compensation for certain full-time fire department employees of the city of Mount Healthy.
That certain employee is one. It is the fire chief.
No, this is not that
Oh,
one.
No,
that's
that's,
the
That's full-time
yeah,
fire
I
department.
thought she
that's
said
the
full-time.
next one.
Okay.
Yep. I make a motion to adopt ordinance 21-1975.
I second that.
Mr. Reddy, Mr. Mueller,
Mr. Mueller, second.
seconded.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Miss Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George, Mr. Mueller.
Aye.
21-1975 is adopted, 6-0. All right. Next, we have ordinance 21-1976, an ordinance to set compensation for the full-time fire chief of the city of Mount Healthy.
And that's just the one.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 21-1976.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Parsons,
Second.
second by Mrs. Moody. Roll call.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Miss Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George, Mr. Mueller.
I abstain.
Okay, motion adopted 5-0. What do I say? And one abstention.
1 abstain.
One abstain.
One abstain.
All right. Ordinance 21-1977, an ordinance enacting and adopting supplement 2021-S-16 to the Mount Healthy Code of Ordinances.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 21-1977.
Mr. Mueller made a motion to adopt,
I second.
and Ms. Sosa, second. Roll call.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Miss Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George, Mr. Mueller.
Aye.
21-1977 is adopted 6-0. Ordinance 21-1979, an ordinance to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Mount Healthy for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 21-1979.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. Parsons, second by Mr. Mueller.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Miss Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George, Mr. Mueller.
Aye.
Ordinance 21-1979 is adopted 6-0. And then ordinance 21-1980, an ordinance to transfer funds from the general fund to other funds covering budgeted expenditures.
Just one thing on that one, that's the one that needed to be amended, because the total at the bottom does not reflect the total in the section 1.
We
I
made
have
that
the right copy, though.
We noted that last.
We noted that last meeting.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So I make a motion to adopt ordinance 21-1980.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Redding, second,
I'll second that.
Mr. Parsons.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Ms. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Okay, 21-1980 is adopted 6-0. Now we come to our first reading of ordinances. And the first one is an ordinance authorizing the city manager to sign contracts and agreements to sell city-owned real property to the Mount Healthy Community Improvement Corporation, CIC, and that number is 21-1981.
This is the property on Hickman that we've discussed for quite some time. We had a CIC meeting tonight beforehand, just to give them the heads up of the plan. And this is exactly what, we have them in place to be able to do. We'll actually sell it to the CIC and on the same day, turn around and sell it to both the property owners to the north and south of this property. They've already have the legal description and the deed's been recorded with the modifications, so then this will just make it official. And the price is $500 each. That's what we paid from the port, so it kind of is a net zero for us, and it gets the property to those folks.
Okay.
I make a motion to suspend the 2-reading rule, ordinance 21-1981.
Mr. Redding made a motion to suspend,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Mueller.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Ms. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Motion to suspend 21-1981, 6-0.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 21-1981.
Mr. Parsons made a motion.
I second.
Mrs. Dosa seconded.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Ms. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 21-1981 is adopted, 6-0. Next ordinance is an ordinance authorizing an agreement between the City of Mount Healthy and the Board of Hamilton County Commissioners relative to the improvement of Hamilton Avenue.
This is one that fell between the cracks a little bit. This is for our municipal road funds for that Hamilton Avenue project. So if we could waive this 2-reading rule tonight, that'd be helpful. I can get it to them for year end. So this is just granting us that, it's a little over $100,000 that we're getting from
Yes.
them.
Yeah, good.
I make a motion to suspend the 2-reading rule on ordinance 21-1982.
Okay, motion by Mr. Redding,
I'll second it.
Mr. Mueller second.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Mrs. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Motion to suspend 21-1982, 6-0.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 21-1982.
Mrs. Dosa made a motion to adopt,
I'll second that.
and Mr. Parsons second.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Ms. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Adopted 6-0. 1982, okay, I lost my place. All right, next. Ordinance authorizing the city manager to sign contracts to purchase real property, Hamilton County Auditor Parcel Number 593-0007-0021-00, and the number is 21-1983.
This is a continued conversation we're having with Red Line, albeit a very frustrating conversation. It's in receiver has been appointed. It's in receivership. We thought we had a deal with them, and then they decided for it to go to an auction. So we don't know how successful we're gonna be, but we're gonna take potentially take a stab at it, and, but we won't go over the amount. There's an amount not to exceed in there, right? Right.
80,000.
80,000, right? So this is just, I mean, we thought Port was gonna get it for 1,000, and then it failed an auction a couple times in a minimum bid of 70, and then we thought we had something worked out. So, you know, we want to either control it or get it in the right hands. There is a potential of, I've talked to some other businesses surrounding that area that, you know, made them aware of it too. So we'll see where it goes. But this would just give us, you know, a potential to take a stab at it. So the auction concludes on Wednesday, January 5th, I think it is.
I think it's imperative that we get it.
What's that?
I think it's imperative that we get it.
Well, yeah, it would be
Yeah.
great to get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Would be great.
So it's on January the 5th?
No, it's a current auction right now.
Oh,
It's-
okay.
You can actually track it. See
Okay.
how-
And the auction ends January 5th.
Correct.
It concludes, yeah. Yep.
So you, the reason for my question is we need to suspend the 2 reading rules?
That'd be great.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
I make a motion to suspend ordinance 21-1983.
Motion made by Mr. Redding,
Second?
seconded by Ms. Moody.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Ms. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Ordinance 21-1983 has been suspended 6-0.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 21-1983.
Motion made by Mr. Parsons,
I'll second that.
seconded by Mr. Mueller.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Ms. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Ordinance 21-1983 is adopted 6-0. And then this is the last one, right? Then you had a new one on your desk. Ordinance 21-1984, an ordinance amending the 2021 appropriations and declaring an emergency now, therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Mount Healthy, Ohio, state of Ohio.
So this is the annual housekeeping that we do every year. Let's see, the vast majority of the increase, about 80% is due to our big road project and the purchase of the Hamilton Avenue property that we had made. Otherwise, it's kind of dispersed through other line items. There are some construction projects here, a couple of different offices that we worked on, but otherwise kind of pretty normal. And it would also need to be passed tonight.
That was gonna be my question.
I make a motion to suspend the 2 reading rule.
Motion made by
Ordinance
Mr.
21-1984.
Made by Mr. Parsons,
Second?
seconded by Mr. Redding.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Ms. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Sorry, Bob.
Okay, ordinance 21-1984.
Always wanted to be Bob.
Everybody
was
wants to
just
be
gonna
Bob.
Just like Bob.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 21-1984.
Mr. Mueller made a motion to adopt,
A second.
seconded by Mrs. Dosa.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Ms. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Ordinance 21-1984 is adopted 6-0. And that
Thank you.
all of our legislature. Old business. Anybody have any old business?
One thing.
Mr. Reddy.
Got my booster shot at Trinity Lutheran. Wanted to thank them. Jenny, if you could pass that on.
I will.
For their service to the community for that. Very professional group that did it. Was in, was out, pretty easy. If you have your card, if you decide to get a booster, get a shot there. If you have a shot card, take it with you. But otherwise, great, and I appreciate what they're doing in the community, so. That's all I had. And And do we know when they're through?
They're not going to be there this Friday for the holidays, but then they'll start up again, probably, I don't think they'll be there the next 2 Fridays. They're there from 11 to 5, so it's, they do the
Yep.
pediatric ones too, and, yeah.
You don't
Okay.
need an appointment?
No, you don't.
Don't need an, yep.
You can, really, there's no need for an appointment. It's through the Hamilton County Board of Health. That's why it's there.
Great. Okay. Any other old business? Any new business?
Yes. Kim Creeman's wonderful woman she is, great businesswoman she is. I had this thought that tonight I was going to give everybody a little something. Show my appreciation for all the work you do,
Oh, for goodness sakes.
all the volunteering you do, all the extra time, and for you especially. Paul. And I just feel like, you know, when we do this, I have the 3 words, service, integrity, and compassion, because I know everyone that I've served with on city council over the many years has always served under this, and I certainly do appreciate
You're gonna make me cry.
Thank you, Jenny.
everyone that puts their time and effort into this.
You know,
Thank
I
you.
got one for Ross and one for
Cordell.
Cordell.
and don't forget Bob.
Ross, okay,
I just want to thank
put it in
everybody.
the store.
It's been great.
No,
Bob, you don't
Bob?
get one.
Forgot Bob.
Bob doesn't get one.
Bob, how can I forget you?
Ross.
And I'd like to thank him for helping me get all this done.
You're not supposed to give us credit.
I know.
No, I
You don't have to give
wanted
me a
do
gift.
it
I haven't done
because
anything.
I just appreciate working with all of you. And I just want to say that
I believe
respect
that.
everything that you do. You guys work so hard, and even though sometimes we disagree, we do not look at party lines at all. We're here for the benefit of the community, and I appreciate the fact that our mayor and the Republican and Democratic Party in Mount Healthy always wants to keep that balance and always wants us working together. We look at the local issues, and we work hard to make it best for our residents. And so I want to thank everybody, and I want to say, Paul, you're going to, with what you did to get that fire levy passed, being on that committee, and we're so thankful and I'm grateful that you're going to be sitting here next time. And that's it.
Thanks, Jay.
Jenny, I just
Jenny.
want to say it's been a pleasure working with you.
I know, I like
The
sitting
miss
next
is
to you,
next.
I know.
Now,
Everybody
Get
will
ready to
move
talk a
down.
lot, Paul.
I want to thank Ms. Moody
No, you
for,
can be over there.
Ms. Moody for her many, many years of public service.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, I appreciate it. I know, I'm gonna neighbors. Well, I got a Fibonacci gift card here, so beer's on me, and wine.
Actually, it's on me.
That was you?
No, so I rented out Fibonacci tonight. Jamie let everyone know, so everyone's invited now over to Fibonacci, or when this ends to celebrate.
Oh, thanks a lot. It's not an official meeting, we won't get in trouble,
That's
right?
right. Nope, just don't talk politics.
Yep.
We won't talk politics? Oh, my gosh. Oh, thanks. Okay, well, can I adjourn the meeting?
Well, we got to do new business, don't we?
No, we just.
Well, that was it. Anybody,
that was
any other new business?
Because you usually
I know you
adjourn.
make that.
So can I have the privilege? Make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
The motion was made by Ms. Moody.
I don't want to second it.
I know.
I second it.
No.
Second by Mrs. Dodds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Okay,
Go to the big one.
what do I say?
You get what you say?
Oh,
Go to the big game.
Meeting is adjourned.
That big ever.